Welcome back to BBB Adventures. Before we get this video started, we've actually already edited it, and it turned out to be a lot longer than we intended. Well, it turned out to be a lot longer than we thought it was going to be when we first started. We didn't really want to reduce the information that we're trying to share, so we have added chapters. So there are chapters that cover the different sections. So for those of you who are maybe interested in rider etiquette or camp, expectations for camp behavior or whatever, or maybe you're just interested in the refresh of the packing section, whatever, you can use those chapters to navigate this if you really don't want to sit through the whole thing. If you do want to sit through the whole thing, it is an action-packed, information-packed, just constant entertainment. So keep that in mind. It's probably Oscar-winning performances. What is this? Anyway, that we wanted to let you know that before we dive into today's episode. So here we go.
That's the disco doggy.
He's gonna go visit the cemetery.
Welcome back to BBB Adventures, everybody.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
We are out on the tandem today.
More training.
More training.
We got our RAGBRAI wear on.
Yes, this is what we will look like on RAGBRAI. Same as last year, only hopefully you see more of us this year.
We're red people on the red dragon.
Yep. And definitely Disco Doggy's basket.
Yep.
And the Disco Doggy. Oh, he's snack time. He loves to eat the dandelions after they've seeded. So this video is going to be a refresh of our packing video that we did back in 2021.
We learned some things in the Apollo mission. We learned a little bit about more minimalistic approach to cycling that we believe is going to apply to our RAGBRAI packing. So we're not going to try to 100% duplicate that because a lot that's in that video is totally applicable. So we're going to attempt to cover some of the differences based on our learning over the years. But if you haven't watched that first video, I would encourage you to go back and watch it.
We'll link in the description, and we'll put a link in the description below and possibly on the screen here.
Yeah, so go back and watch that if you haven't, and then this will be addendum to that, or a update to that.
We're going to include some more things, some different things that we didn't include in that original packing video to cover more RAGBRAI readiness, what to expect when you, like if you're using Pork Belly Ventures, this is really heavily Pork Belly Venture focused.
Because that's who we use.
That's what we use.
And we love it.
But a lot of the similar attributes for other charters you might
out-of-staters or some of those other ones.
So we're going to cover getting your bike to the trucks, what you need to know and be prepared for that.
Yeah, basically we're going to be covering what to expect before RAGBRAI, and how do you get to where if you're going to be at the end town, how do you get to start town? So like, what are the things that you can expect ahead of the ride? What are some things you can expect on the ride, not at camp, but on the ride, in terms of rider etiquette and how to stay safe, how to be aware, how to stop. We're going to cover some rider etiquette things. And then
We decided to go for a walk. Yeah, we'll talk about camp etiquette. There's definitely camp etiquette that we could talk about.
And maybe a little bit about what to expect at the end when it's all over.
Yeah. Okay, for demonstration purposes, let's pretend Brentley's on the route and there's hundreds of bicycles passing by. This is what Brentley's going to do to enter the route. He's looking back, checking for a break in traffic. When he sees a break, "Rider on!" he shouts "Rider on" and starts pedaling safely onto route. Okay, there are roadside attractions on either side of the road on RAGBRAI. We're going to practice a right side attraction exit. Brentley's made sure he's clear over on the right side. "Rider off!" He hollered "Rider off," and he stops.
Get off the road.
Gets off the road. Get all the way off the road.
And then stop.
And then stop. Stopping! Oh Jesus, not clip. Oh, there.
Oftentimes you're stopping in between towns. We'll talk about in towns in a second when you roll into a town, but there's lots of stops, beer stops, Mr. Pork
Pie
Chop,
stops.
pie stops, whatever, in between towns. So sometimes those attractions are on the right side of the road, sometimes they're on the left. When they're on the right side of the road, you're in the slow lane because you ride right. The slower people stay right. There are people that ride quite fast in the left lane. So if you're exiting off to the right, it's pretty easy. You do like we just demonstrated. If you're gonna exit on the left, because there's a left side attraction, which is sometimes a good idea, you gotta be really careful crossing those lanes of traffic and make sure that there's no fast people coming that you're gonna cut off. And if you haven't been on RAGBRAI before, there can be a lot of bicycles. And so you have to plan it. It's best to plan your stop. So if you see a stop coming, it's best to sort of migrate yourself safely over to the left. Now you're in the fast lane, so you're caused a little bit of trouble potentially, but riders that are fast know when attraction's coming up that they got to be on their toes. But you don't want to make any sudden movements. Sudden lane changes are awful. They're to be avoided. So get over, get off, get your bike off the road on the left side. Entering rider on when you're coming in from the left is just as it has to be executed just as carefully because people are coming fast. So you got to wait, and then you don't want to get on and then cut over to the right as fast as you can. You want to, again, safely make those lane changes and make sure that you're looking on both sides. Sometimes people will pass you on the right. Typically you want to pass on the left, just like in traffic, just like in car traffic, but every now and then you have no choice. And so you got to be careful as you're making lane changes that somebody's not coming on your right quickly that you're going to cut off. So another aspect of riding RAGBRAI that we think is we're talking about is what to expect when you're rolling into town and what are the etiquettes. The towns get very crowded. If you've been in RAGBRAI before, you know what that looks like. If you haven't, you've probably seen video, but experiencing it and watching it are two different things. It's crowded. And depending on the size of the town and where you're at in the ebb and flow of RAGBRAI traffic, it can back up to outside of town. And so as you roll it into a town, you gotta always be, and this actually, anytime you're on RAGBRAI, you gotta be looking ahead and you gotta be paying attention, but you can see the town's coming, and so be prepared. And there are some vocal commands when you are gonna get into a traffic jam, either because of a railroad crossing or where the state police have a highway stopped temporarily, or you're rolling into a busy town, but it's, slowing, you yell slowing, and then stopping as you're stopping, just in case somebody isn't paying attention, And so that's one of the other verbal commands that you want to know about. So you yell slowing, you slow down. As soon as you're at a crawl where you can't really ride anymore, the etiquette is to get off your bike and walk your bike through the town, walk your bike across the railroad tracks, you normally don't have to walk your bike across the highway because usually the state police block it off. Bicycle traffic builds up, they stop the car traffic, and then everybody goes, and you can usually get on your bike and start pedaling. But through a town, you're expected to walk your bike through town. Do not try to ride your bike through town. You may think it's possible, but it's not polite and it's dangerous, and so walk your bike through town. Find an appropriate place to park your bike and go spend some money in the town and support the town. Bike parking in the towns is everywhere. Just find a place to park your bike. Mary Beth and I sometimes, when we're on two bikes, do a tent thing where we lean the two bikes up. Whatever. You don't need to put a lock on it. We've never had any issue in a pass-through town with theft or anything like that.
Typically, there are two tractors in the middle of town with cable strung between the two, and you can hook your handlebar on that cable.
Yeah. So and then leaving town, you walk your bike until the traffic starts to flow, and you'll sort of figure it out. And then when you decide to mount your bike and start pedaling, use the same verbal command, rider on, you yell that, and you get on your bike and you pedal out of town. So that's what to expect in a pass-through town during the ride.
Many, if not all, of the intersections in rural Iowa have rumble strips coming up to the stop signs in the right-hand lane. So oftentimes when you're coming up to those types of intersections, you'll hear people yell, rumble! And they'll outstretch their hand, usually this one, and wave it over the rumbles, depending on which side of the road the rumbles are on. If they move over into the oncoming traffic lane, which is the left lane on RAGBRAI, they wiggle their hand over the rumble strips and yell, rumble! So now you know what that means.
And don't make any sudden movements.
If you miss the warning, you just gotta suck it up and roll across.
Rumble through.
Rumble through. But do be aware of the rumble strips.
And they usually come in sets of 3.
Yes, 3. Rumble, rumble, rumble. There's usually a shoulder you can ride on the right side without rumbles, or just get into the other lane. At the end of the day, and you're ready to get to camp, one of the first things you'll notice, or you'll start to notice, is the water towers. You'll start to notice that when it's time to come into camp, you'll find the water towers. And it's awesome to see the water tower off in the distance. That's your goal. You've reached your destination. It's time for a good meal and an adult beverage. But how do you find your camp? I can't speak to the RAGBRAI main campground because I don't know how you find those. Presumably they're published somewhere. I'm sure they are. But all of the charter campgrounds will have signs as you come into town. Get to know what color sign your charter has. Get to know what that sign looks like, and keep your eyes peeled for it.
By sign, you mean
An 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, usually,
Yeah.
with big print on it that says the name of the charter. Now, Pork Belly Adventurers, I know, on their app, will publish a map into town. Download that app and look at the map. That's very helpful as well. However, they will have signs as well. They say PBV. They're white.
With an arrow.
And with an arrow.
Sometimes they're upside down, so the arrow points in the right direction.
Right. But the app is also very extremely helpful. The app always will give you the name of the location to ask a local. Where's the Peace Catholic Church or whatever? Where's the YMCA? Where's the elementary school? Just ask someone directing traffic in the way into town, and they'll point you the way as well. So there's a variety of different avenues you can use to find camp, but with Pork Belly Adventures, your best bet is with the app and watching for those signs. The best part about RAGBRAI is actually riding the route and getting to talk with the people next to you. So please remember to visit with the people who are passing you by or who you happen to be passing or riding next to. It's great fun. You meet all of the people. You meet all sorts of people. Get to know the fellow riders. Have a great time and be safe.
Another part of rider etiquette is hand signals. There are hand signals that you should use when changing lanes. We talked about when you're going to exit the route for some intermediate stop somewhere, how you got to sort of plan it. As you're making those lane changes, part of the etiquette is to point to where you want to be. Point to where you intend on going. So the rider behind you, or the rider that you're going to be moving in front of, whatever, knows to sort of allow room. Instead of you just moving over, it's a little bit like signaling a lane change in a car. So you point to where you're going to put your bike. Point your intention, whether it's to the right or to the left, point your intention. The other hand signal that is not consistently used, but is used in the cycling community, is to put your hand behind your back, like this, as you're slowing down and stopping. It is, in addition to yelling, slowing, stopping, that's also a hand signal that is often used to communicate what's happening to try to keep everyone safe. Similar to the way that you communicate your intentions with hand signals, as you're maybe overtaking somebody, maybe you're going a little bit faster because everybody rides at a different pace. You may find yourself in a situation where you intend to pass on the left or the right, or maybe there are two riders and you're making the decision to go up the middle. Now, again, when possible, you should always pass on the left like you do in a car. But even then, you need to announce that you're coming
at a greater speed than the people you're attempting to overtake. And that's done by the following voice commands. On your left. On your left means I am coming on your left. Be prepared. Don't be surprised.
On your left.
If you're going to pass on the right, which again, you should try not to do, but on your right, that way they know that you're coming and they're not going to pull over and run you off the road or whatever. And then if you're going to go up the middle of two people, then you yell up the middle, and then you can ride up the middle of them. But again, the preferred way to pass somebody is on the left, but please announce your intentions. On your left. So that's another part of rider etiquette to help keep everybody aware of what's going on. And you'll have a good time. Just have a good time. Now it's time to check in with our roving reporter, who's currently at the packing facility. Mary Beth, can you hear me? Are you there?
Yes, Brentley, I can hear you. That's right. I'm here at the packing facility, otherwise known as our basement, getting ready for RAGBRAI. I do want to remind you, you should go see our last packing video from 2021 because it covers a lot more in detail. This packing video is going to highlight our lessons learned and ways we've modified and streamlined our packing. Some of you may still want to utilize our old method of packing where we packed 7 kits for 7 days of cycling. Our Apollo mission taught us that we don't really need to use that many kits. We've switched to merino wool jerseys or shirts, which really help because they're odor-free typically. Before we get started, we need to wait for Brentley and Disco. Last time we saw him, he was up on the hill in the tandem. I don't know what's taking him so long. Hi, Brentley and Disco.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
What took
Yeah,
you
we're
so
just
long?
back from the ride.
Yeah.
What took us so long? I don't know. We had to ride down by ourselves. Somebody abandoned us.
Okay, let's get packing.
Yeah, let's do this.
So we're going to talk about the bags. We're each using a backpack.
These haven't changed. These are the same backpacks we had in the other video. We've been using for years. They're big.
Yeah, these are the same backpacks we used before. We love that they have great support around the waist. They're easy to carry.
The reason that we take a backpack and a duffel bag each is because when you put half your stuff in a backpack, you can put it on your back and you just have to carry the duffel bag. It's just so much easier than trying to carry 2 duffel bags or making multiple runs between your tent and the bus or whatever. Because at the beginning and at the end, you have to get your crap from one place to another. So we like the backpack. Now I'm gonna attempt to go through the checklist that we had, the spreadsheet. There was a link to these backpacks. I'm gonna make sure that that's updated if possible. That checklist hasn't been looked at in a couple of years, but I'm gonna go through that spreadsheet. We'll put a link in that in the description. But yeah, backpack, duffel bag.
Yeah, my duffel bag I really like. It's seen better days. It's got rips and tears in it, but it will still hold all of our stuff. It's got a basement we love, upper compartment, and it's on wheels. Makes it easy for me to carry.
Now we got our backpacks open. We're gonna pack those. We're gonna talk a little bit about we're gonna start with the clothing that we take, and as we talk about it, we're gonna put them away. A lot of this probably hasn't changed fundamentally since our last video, but we'll talk about a few things. But you do have to have, we like to take rubber shoes. We had them in the last video, explained why. It's just nice to have rubber shoes in camp. They're light. You can wear them in the shower if you want. You can wear them in water, whatever. So we have our light shoes. I like natives.
This bag seems light. It's just evening wear. This shirt will be inside of this. We're just wearing these shirts for the purpose of the videos, but we're actually packing these.
When she says evening wear, she means something after you get back from the ride. You've taken a shower and you're going to go to have dinner and you're going to watch the entertainment at camp. You're going to have beers with your friends. You want to get out of your cycling clothes. So we usually take clothes for the evening. Now we used to take we used to take
7 shirts.
Yeah, maybe as many as 5 different evening wear. But one of our minimalizing sort of strategies after the Apollo mission is you actually don't really need that. So we'll probably, like she said, we'll probably take a couple of shirts probably one pair of shorts.
And you get a pork belly shirt at registration,
You do.
so we'll have that one.
So we're not going to be we're not going to be in a different outfit every night. It's just not that important. So yeah, we have some shorts. I also take something to sleep in, just some loose fitting shorts and a shirt to sleep in, because if you got to get up to go to the Kaibo in the middle of the night, you know.
You want to have something on.
You want to have something on. And so, and it's usually, it's going to be hot, so you don't want to pack anything that's too, you know.
Too heavy.
Yeah, too heavy.
So this is one kit. Remember, we're only packing 2 pairs of shorts, 2 wool shirts, and our long sleeve red shirt.
Yeah, this is probably the biggest learning from the Apollo mission is we've discovered that we really enjoy these merino wool t-shirts. They're actually not jerseys, so the disadvantage is you don't have your back jersey pocket, but the advantage is you can wear these multiple days and they
don't stink.
They don't smell. And during the Apollo mission, we would wear them many days in a row before we would find a sink to wash them in or whatever. And actually dry really fast. So if you could also take this into the shower with you, and you could rinse it off and you hang it in your tent, it will be dry pretty quickly. So we're a big fan of the merino wool. So we're going to be wearing these blue merino wools, and then the red, you've seen us in the red sun shirts, similar to the orange sun shirts we wore on the Apollo mission. So
that's really what we're going to wear on the ride.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have a pair of very high quality biking shorts.
2 of them.
Yeah, I'm going to take a couple of those pair. Again, on the Apollo mission, I wore these day a day. You think, oh my God, the chamois are going to get dirty and nasty, and yeah, maybe to a certain extent, but you can ride several days. Now, if you're not comfortable with that, I get it. You can pack a different kit in one of these bags every day, like we showed in the other video, and that actually works really well too. But we're sort of reducing the amount that we're packing. So that's the riding gear. Now, there's also protective gear that you want to consider, right? So your gaiter / buff, and if you definitely want a BBB Adventures buff if you don't have one, because that's what all the cool kids are going to have. So if you want one of these, let us know. But yeah, you got to pack your other protective gear. For me, that also includes knee braces because I got bad knees. You want to remember your
cycling gloves,
the sun sleeves if you use them. So that goes in. Those are my shirts.
And let's not forget Tutu Tuesday.
Yeah, you can't forget about Tutu Tuesday. Disco's got his tutu. If you haven't watched that episode, but I got my tutu. We're going to expect everybody to wear their tutus on Tutu Tuesday. Okay, so that covers what you wear during the ride. It covers what you wear at camp.
And sleepwear.
And that's really, in a minimalistic approach, that's really all you need to think about. So that's clothes. Let's review what we take on the bike. We wear cycling sandals. These are the same sandals that we wore in the Apollo mission. They've got SPD cleats. We have the kind of pedals where you can be flat or SPD cleats. We like these. Some people don't like sandals. We like them, so we'll be riding in our sandals. With Disco's basket and his harness. Not everybody has a Disco. Everybody should have a Disco, but he'll be with us. Now, but let's talk about what you should expect to take on the bike. These are 2 different bike bags. This one mounts to the handlebars. This one is a top bar bag. We're going to be on the tandem, so we're going to have frame bags, but you want to have some ability to carry stuff on the ride. Well, what would you carry? Well, you probably want
butt butter.
Yeah, butt butter, sunscreen. I took upstairs, so pretend like this is sunscreen. Butt butter, sunscreen, some UV protective lip balm, because the sun will burn.
The sun and wind will ruin your lips.
Some mount for your phone if you want your phone easily accessible. Your phone can go in these bags, but there's many, and you probably all have your favorite phone holder that goes in your handlebars. Your sunglasses. I have a Garmin. Mary Beth has...
I have a mirror connected to my sunglasses, which I really learned to enjoy on the Apollo mission.
And then we each have a light jacket. And these, although I got a new one and it's a little lighter than my last one, but traditionally these have been enough. If you're a little chilly in the morning, you put this jacket on, it warms up quickly, you take it off, you stuff it in your bag. If it rains, you can get it back out, but yeah, you wanna be able to have that with you. We have these cups that almost nobody has. These are for the Iowa Beer Craft Buffs, and yeah, we will always have these. I'm sorry you don't. Speaker, we talked about that last time. It's nice to have tunes. You probably want to have a headlight, whether you mount it all the time or you have it available, a small headlight like this. It's possible that you're going to have so much fun at one of the pass-through towns that...
No, or not even the pass-through town, but go into the expo at the end town at night. That ends after dark. And if you ride your bike there, you'll want to have a light to get yourself back to camp.
Helmet. Wear a helmet. Now for us, we carry a bunch of electronics. We've got a drone and the controller and drone batteries. We've got GoPros and batteries. So we have to have space for all of the stuff that it takes to create content. So we have that stuff. Probably you don't, but we have to accommodate that. So the point is, you got to lay out your stuff that you're going to carry on the bike, including your money, any other personal effects, your wallet, reading glasses, any other sort of things that are specific to you, and you need to make sure that you've got a space for them on your bike.
In years past, this stuff doesn't get packed in a bag because it goes on the bike with you. So when you're taking the bus across the state from the end town to the start town, this stuff can be carried in a grocery sack if necessary. This year I think we might have room in our backpacks.
Because we reduced our clothing.
Because we reduced our clothing. But if you don't have room in your backpacks for this sort of stuff that will be with you on the bike during the week, have no fear. Carry it in a grocery sack that you can throw away when you get to camp. Just carry it onto the bus with you. That's what we've done in the past.
For pork belliers, some people take their cup. It's not this cup. This is the Iowa Craft Beer Bus cup. But, you get a cup at Pork Belly for beverages. A lot of people carry that with them on the bike. So at the end of the day, as they roll into camp, they can stop by the beer, or the lemonade or whatever, and we usually leave those in the tent. We usually head right to the tent and then grab the cups, grab a beer on the way to the shower. We have our own little routine. We like to get
showered as soon as we can.
Yeah, the tent set up and showered as soon as we can, and then we can relax for the day. But some people like to carry their cups. I'm often jealous that people are getting a beer before I am. Let's move to
the camp gear, tent
gear.
This is my favorite camp accoutrement. My favorite camp accoutrement is our dustpan and broom.
But we've noticed something. We've noticed a trend.
We have noticed a trend since our video.
We'd like to take credit for it, although I don't know that we actually can. But
the tents have been cleaner.
Yeah,
the tents have been cleaner.
The last 2 years, the tents have been cleaner.
Thank you, PBBers.
Yeah. Prior to that, we had gotten tents that they were literally just full of dirt and grass and gravel and.
But you really want to protect your air mattresses, your clothing. You want to protect your stuff. So sweep the tent out if necessary when you get to camp. Clothespins. It's a good idea to bring clothespins so you can hang up your wet clothing on the side of the tent to dry.
Tents have strings and stuff that you can attach stuff to.
Yeah. Or the cables on your bike or whatever. Use a clothespin to hang things up so they can dry. Bug spray. It's not a bad idea to carry bug spray.
I will cover that.
This is our air mattress. It's a full-size air mattress because our sleeping bags, they zip together, so we just make one bed for the three of us.
To be clear, it is not a backpacking, bike packing, super lightweight. It's not like the one we took in the Apollo mission. This is a car camping. It's where you want a little bit thicker, a little bit heavier duty, and you don't really care that it weighs a little more. Backpacking, bike-packing air mattress works just fine. We think this bigger one is more comfortable. We like it. This is where we've ended up.
We use two different styles pillows. I use the pillow that isn't inflatable. It's stuffable. I stuff my next day's kit inside, which puffs it up a little bit, and then I sleep on the padded side. I love this pillow. Brentley prefers a more firm inflatable pillow, so that's the one he uses. Now I have these wonderful plastic bags that we keep our sleeping bags in. Not everyone's going to have that. These came from Asia, but they work great as a water protection just in case our bags need to stay outside in the rain while they're being loaded.
Yeah, that is something to think about. When you pack these bags that Pork Belly's then going to put on their truck and they're going to lay out the next day or put in your tent if you have the tent service, most of the time it's dry, but if it's particularly folks who are not using the tent service.
Even if you do use a tent service, they do have to sit outside for a moment.
Well, they do, but the other ones sit outside until you go collect them.
Right.
So you want to think about the fact that it is possible that your bags are going to get rained on. And so things that you don't want inside the bag to get wet, like a sleeping bag, you want to sort of think through, how can I waterproof those things?
Right. That's why all of our clothing was in Ziploc bags also, to protect them from the potential for being rained on.
We've actually never had our bags get rained on.
Right.
But it's possible. It is
entirely
nothing
possible.
prevents it.
Right. Nothing that can't be controlled.
Hey, while we're talking about air mattresses, we've used this. It's a battery-powered air pump. It takes a long time, but it works, and the batteries last the whole week. If you've got room in your bag, then you have one of these high-volume double. They pump air in both directions. This thing blows up an air mattress actually very quickly if you've got room for it in your luggage. Or Pork Belly provides electric air pumps at a central place. You can take your air mattress there. You can blow it up. You can carry it back to your tent. So. Or, I suppose, if you're ambitious enough, you can hyperventilate yourself. But think about blowing that air mattress up.
Fans. After the bed's set up, you want to set up the fans. We carry both of these. They work great.
On hot days,
You're
hot nights,
thankful for that movement of air.
You're very
For
thankful. We have little chairs we took in the Apollo mission. We're going to take these on RAGBRAI. They're a little heavier duty, but it's just nice to have a little camp chair you can take to entertainment. You can sit outside your tent and talk to your neighbors. But the years that we didn't have one of these, we were always jealous of people
those who did.
sitting in their front porch of their tent and their little chairs. So think about taking chairs. We take 2 chairs. Hey, let's talk about. You want to talk about the tent organizer?
Sure. We bring a tent organizer with us. It was a game changer for us. It hooks up on one side of the tent, and it has a bunch of pockets, and we store our things in there that don't get lost in the mess of the tent. It's a great idea to have if you can find one.
And one of the things
that
we
goes
put
in the
in there is we have these little lights. They're a USB. They plug into this battery. This is really nice in the morning when you're trying to find something, or at night where you're trying to get yourself situated. We really like these. This battery will
It'll go
the whole week. We do not have to recharge this
for that light.
So we have a couple of those, a couple of these batteries. So we like having some sort of light in the tent. We have these headlights. We also keep these in the tent organizer. These are nice for getting up in the morning to go stand in the line at the Kaibo, or to, in the middle of the night, whatever, take the dog out. So Pork Belly provides charging trailers. There are 2 of them, and they've got little cubbies. You need a lock. In the back of the cubby, there's an outlet, a two outlet like in your house. It's got 2 plugs, and you want to bring something to charge all your devices. Now, like I talked about earlier, we have all of this content creation equipment. We have a speaker. We have phones. We have all this stuff that has to be charged. Watches, bike computers. So we want as many ports as possible. We have a 4-port. I've seen people have 2 4-ports, but we've gotten by with a 4-port and a single port USB. You want to lock those up so your devices are secure. We talked about that. Don't forget all the cables that you might need. We have these 2 great big batteries. What we use these for is we keep one always charged. We keep our phones in the tent. This thing will charge both of our phones a couple of times. Overnight. So our phones are with us for emergency situations if someone needs to contact us. And the rest of our stuff is in the charging thing. Again, the charging thing, the charge trailer, locks up at 9 o'clock. Don't quote me on the times because I don't really remember 100%, but it's something like 9 o'clock. They shut the doors. They let it charge all night. at
I think 5:30.
5:30ish, sometime very early in the morning. They open it back up so you can go back in there and get your stuff. They encourage you to get all your stuff out and don't leave it in there while they transport that trailer to the next end town or the next overnight town, but you know, that's up to you. Also realize that these are running off a generator, and when everybody's got something plugged in, now you're spreading the current across all those devices, so you're not going to get a lot of current. So devices don't charge super fast. Do not expect you're going to plug your phone in your fast charger and it's going to charge really fast, because it's not, you know, and that's why you just leave your stuff in there all night, get it in the morning, and it's charged. So you want to account for how you're going to manage your power. If you have a lot of this crap like we do, you got to think about power management.
Okay, so after all of your bags are packed, Pork Belly Ventures doesn't have a weight limit. I'm not sure about the RAGBRAI trucks. Check on that. But Pork Belly's stipulation is you need to be able to put it over your head. If you can lift it over your head, it's not too heavy.
If you watched our Pork Belly, How Does Pork Belly Do It videos, if you haven't, if you're gonna be with Pork Belly and you haven't watched those, you really owe it to yourself to go watch those, because it really talks a lot about their process and what they do to create their world-class service. But part of one of those videos, you can watch them load the bags, and you can see why you need to be able to lift it over your head, you know, because if you can't, that means the poor guys that are having to huff that thing up in a truck are going to be in trouble. It's just in your best interest to keep your bags at a reasonable weight that you can easily lift. In some respects, was a repeat of our last packing video, although I feel like we went through this fast. Maybe we didn't hit as much detail. Again, I think it's a good refresher to go back and watch that one, either before or after you watch this one. And I think between the two, it's probably covered pretty well. All right.
Okay, I have no doubt that the rest of the stuff is going to fit in our bags.
Oh, for sure.
No doubt, no question. But you will want to pre-pack ahead of time so that you know that your bags are large enough, or that you know if you need to scale back on anything. Yeah, don't pack the night before you leave.
No, don't do that. Now we're going to talk a little bit about what you can expect before RAGBRAI. And if you're a long-time RAGBRAI person, this will probably be a repeat for you. But for new people, this might have some good information in it. But one of the first things you got to have is a strategy. So am I going to drive to the end town and then get myself to the start and then ride my bike back to my car? Am I going to start at the beginning? Am I going to park at the start and then ride my bike and then somehow get myself on my bike back to my car? So you got to think of that strategy. If you're flying in, it's even more complex. We've never actually done that. So, but Pork Belly has lots of help that they can give you if you're flying in from town, and shuttles, and there's all sorts of stuff, shipping your bike, stuff we've never done. Those are services they offer. Go to their website and check into those things. But yeah, what's my strategy? What we do, we like to park at the end. We like to ride our bikes back to the car. That way at the end of this thing, you got your car there, and we think it's much more exciting to transport yourself to the beginning with the anticipation of the ride and the energy, and we think it's more fun than, oh, now the event's over and then I have to ride a bus or something back across the state, and I'm sad that it's over. So that's why we do that, even though sometimes it's more inconvenient for us to drive further, but we park at the end. How do we get across when we park at the end?
We ride one of the charters from Pork Belly Ventures.
That's right, we ride a bus. So what to expect for the bus ride?
Well, you get to the place where you're going to load the buses, and they do bike loading at the same location, which makes it very simple. They provide tags. You need to write your name and phone number on a tag and attach it to the bike. Pass your bike off to Pork Belly Ventures. They load it in their semi.
You can. We talked about in our other video that hopefully you've watched, different strategies for protecting your bike. We don't really worry about it because our experience is they take very good care of the bike, so we don't really do much. But we hand the bike off to them, and they load it, and you're done with that part. So
then you go back and make sure you have all your luggage sorted and ready to go, and you wait for the bus to leave.
Your bags, whatever bus you're signed up for, and by the way, when you register for the bus, team names are important. If you want to ride with BBB Adventurers and you want to be on the same bus as us, or some of your other friends, whatever, you got to have a team name. They will work to put the people on the same team on the same bus.
When you register to take the bus, and when you're registering for camp, it's important to have a team name associated with your registration. That way in camp, they place all of the same teammates next to each other. If you're bringing your own tent, then you get to put your tent up wherever you want. But if you're renting a tent and you're part of a team and you want to sleep in the same vicinity as your teammates, make sure you have the team name on your registration. And that's equally important for bus rides. If you want to be on the same bus, set the time of departure you want and make sure you have your team name. Everybody in your team puts the team name, same team name. They have to be very precise because it's a computer that sorts it. So, and there's multiple buses leaving at all of those times. So you want to make sure your team gets put on the same bus.
Okay, so what about the bus ride? Well, like she said, you find out where they're loading the bikes in the bus. When it's time to get on your bus, you put your bags underneath. They're not going to do it for you. You put your bags in the storage compartment under the bus. And that's typically the 2 duffel bags per person that you're taking, that Pork Belly allows. Sometimes those bags are full of stuff that isn't associated with riding, like your helmet and maybe your cycling shoes and that sort of stuff that maybe didn't fit in those bags because they're actually not going to be in those bags on a day-to-day basis. Those things you can put in grocery sacks, whatever, you can take them onto the bus with you. I think we talked about that a little bit during the packing section of this. But you get on the bus. We take a cooler. Again, we covered this in our 2021 video, but we like to take a cooler. It collapses.
So
that
we can
way,
carry it across the state easily in our luggage.
Yeah, we can put it in one of our duffel bags, but we take the cooler. We can have some snacks, some beverages, sort of to get the party started a little early. But it's you can make the bus ride. It can either be a nap or a play you can read.
You get to know the people around you on the bus.
Yeah, if you want to have peace and quiet and read, probably don't ride our bus. Yeah, so that's, you can sort of think about, the bus does stop approximately halfway across the state. They usually stop at some sort of a truck stop. There's fast food, there's junk food, there's convenience store stuff. So there is an opportunity to get off, stretch your legs. There's a potty on the bus, but sometimes it's nice to use a potty at a station. So there is a bus stop. They stop for 30 minutes, something like that. The bus ride takes about 5 hours. You've loaded your bike on the truck. You got your bags. You're on the bus. You've taken it across. Now you arrive at the start town.
The first thing you do is go retrieve your luggage from the bottom of the bus, stage it someplace, and then go check in at registration.
We like to try to stage it near, usually you get dropped off the front desk, what they call the front desk for Pork Belly is not that far away, so we kind of stage it near the front desk, go check in like she said. That's where you're going to get your t-shirt, your Pork Belly t-shirt, your cup for the week. You're going to get your wristbands. You're going to get all the things that you need. If you're renting a tent, you'll get your tent assignment. If you're going to choose the extra meals, we choose all the extra meals so that we are eating the meal at dinner at camp every night. There are
convenience.
3 included.
And 3 optional.
And there are 3 optional. We just don't like having to count on going to Expo. We just like the convenience of knowing that meal is going to be there. But a lot of people like to go to Expo, and there's lots of food vendors at Expo. But you sort of plan your meals out that way. But it's where you pay for that at the front desk. Then after you're checked in, and you know where your tent is, or you know that you're checked in and you're going to go set up your tent, that's when you
go do that.
Yeah, you gotta schlep all your bags to your tent. They do have assistance if you need it. They have young men with hand trucks that'll help you,
or wagons
or whatever, help you schlep your stuff to your place. But then you go, what we do, and we go Friday night because we like to spend all day Saturday at Expo and sort of familiarizing ourselves and sort of preparing and enjoying it and having fun and whatever. So we go find the tent. We set the tent up like any other night. And then we
go find the charger thingy.
Yeah, we do.
Orient ourselves
to
camp. We're there for 2 nights.
Go have a beer or 2, just relax Friday night. Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing going on in town on Friday night.
Well, nothing officially sponsored.
Right.
There's always a pub or 2.
Right.
Then Saturday morning, You don't have to be out of your tent early. You can sleep in,
in.
you can do whatever. It's usually a very relaxing morning for us. Have coffee. They will have coffee at camp. They'll most likely have a food vendor that's providing some sort of breakfast. And then we go to Expo. We get on one of the shuttles.
Expo
we go to
starts at
Expo.
noon, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's right. It starts at noon. We go to Expo. We hang out. We go see the people.
That's when we'll have a meetup.
BBB Adventurers will have a meetup at some point at the Expo, probably in the afternoon. So come see us. Pick up your buff if you've ordered one. Yeah, we encourage you to go to Expo. Usually the entertainment that night's pretty good. The shuttles run till late at night, later, at least till after the entertainment, so you can have a good time. Be cognizant that you got to ride 40-something miles and climb
3,500 feet the next day.
But yeah, have a good time. Tire dip. For those of you who it's the first time and tire dip's important to you, you got to figure out where the tire dip site. Oftentimes, the Expo and Pork Belly Camp is a distance from
The river.
river access. So Saturday's a good day to plan that out. Go plan out if you want to dip in the tire. There's usually a place you can do that, but you may have to ride 10 miles or something. So plan that out for Saturday.
If it is quite a distance away, RAGBRAI, probably at Expo, will have some sort of pool set up with river water in it.
Yeah, they'll truck some river water over so you can dip your water in the river.
Dip your tire in the river.
Yeah, sorry, dip your tire in the river. But you gotta think through that. So that takes us till Sunday. Sunday morning is a ride day, which means just like any other ride day, you got to be out of your tent, bags packed, ready to go 7 a.m. and you better hit the road.
Every other day of the year, I have a hard time getting out of bed. But ride days on RAGBRAI, there's motivation there. I'm heavily motivated to get packed up and on the road. I think we like to start pedaling by 6.
Well, that's what we try.
Rarely happens.
Really,
but
that's what we like to try.
that's a goal. Stop it.
Huh.
We fight over the dog every day. The dog prefers my lap at the moment. Because my skirt looks like a blanket, and he really likes blankets. Okay, so here, kitty. He's teasing you. Now he's looking for the cat.
Now we want to talk about camp and sort of what to expect. So, end of the day, you've been riding all day, you're probably hot, you're tired. Particularly this year, it's going to be very hilly. Hopefully it's not hot. But you roll into town, you roll into camp. We talked earlier about how you find Pork Belly through the signs. So you've located camp, you know where your tent is because you learned where you are in the tent matrix
The night
before, or if you're pitching your own, you go find your bags. You'll know where those are laid out. You go find your bag, you go pitch your tent. But the first thing we do after we find our tent is I grab all of the devices that all the batteries from the GoPros and all the stuff that we've used during the day, and I head over to the charging thingy to get a slot and to get stuff charging. While I'm doing that,
I pull out the air mattress, I blow that up either with our pump or I take it over to the charging thingy and use their air pump, their electric pumps. But I set up the tent. I set up a bed, I make the bed, I get the sleeping bags out, I get our pillows out. I get the fans situated.
I've been known to grab the cups and go get a beer while, for the both of us while she's doing that. But usually by the time I walk to the charging thing and get all that set up and whatever, I come back, she's pretty much done with what she talked about. So in the packing section of this video, we talked about the charging trailer, the charging thingies. One thing that we forgot to mention is when you put your device in there, particularly a phone, put it on silent because there's usually a PBV crew member sleeping in that trailer at night, and it doesn't need to sound like a casino in there for him. And also, don't be pounding on the door in the morning because you want to get your device out of there before it's open. The trailer, if the doors are open, the ramp's down, you can walk in there, it's open. If it's not open, and you just need to wait until it opens. So then we grab our evening clothes and we head to the shower.
Now you don't need to pack a towel.
Nope.
Pork
Or
belly
shampoo or
ventures,
soap if you don't have anything. If you don't have any special needs.
Yeah, I prefer to bring my own conditioner. Hairbrush, that's important if you have hair like mine.
If you want to shave, this is a good time to shave after you shower. So you gotta pack along whatever personal hygiene routine that you do, and it could be different for everybody. Personally, for me, it's really as simple as I just take a razor and some shaving cream and some deodorant, and my clothes, then I head to the shower. I use their soap and everything, and then I shave and whatever.
Yeah, there's sinks outside the shower trailers. You don't have to do that in the shower.
Now
People are waiting in line for the shower, so you do that outside the shower.
Yeah, expect to wait in line for the shower. I mean, they have a lot of shower stalls, but they're servicing a lot of people, and
Right.
and they even allow some people. I believe they still allow some people who aren't with pork belly to come and pay for a shower. Your wristband that we talked about getting it registration is proof that you
deserve a shower.
Yeah. So after the showers, after we sort of get ourselves gussied up, all prettied up, we walk back.
If we have time before dinner, we'll pull our chairs out, sit at our tables.
Yes. Yeah, we go dump our cycling clothes off, because when we walk to the shower in our cycling clothes, we go back, dump those off at the tents. Like she said, we sit in our little chairs and have a beer, talk to our neighbors, do whatever. And then pretty soon,
it's time for dinner.
It's time for dinner. So we go to dinner. Then after that, it's go back to camp, or go back to your tent and relax some more, sit, read. A lot of people read. They do whatever. There is camp entertainment. Usually it's quite good. So you go listen to that. It's usually live music. It's always live music. Some people after dinner, or even if you didn't shoot, if it's a night where you didn't pay for the optional dinner, people after they shower, they get on the shuttle, they go into town, they go to the expo, they eat there, they do whatever. Unless there's a entertainment that we really
compelling.
Yeah, compels us, we typically don't go to expo. We typically stay in camp. Everything we need is typically in camp.
One thing we want to mention about getting into camp is if you're an athletic, super speed demon, got to get to camp right away.
I'm in a pace line all day. My goal is to get RAGBRAI, this day of RAGBRAI, done as soon as possible, and I'm going to roll into camp at 9 o'clock. First of all, if you're that person, you're probably in the wrong event. But if you are that person,
please let the Pork Belly Ventures crew finish their job. They need all morning to get the tent city set up, to get the bags out of the truck.
Yeah, watch the video that we did about their process and get some appreciation for what the effort that it takes for the PBV crew to get camp set up. Yeah. So
right, and they're working really hard so that we can have an afternoon, an evening, of comfort and enjoyment.
Yeah. So stay out of the way and
do their morning work
and be polite. On the other hand, if you're rolling into camp late because if you had a great day and you didn't want it to end and you're rolling into camp late, realize that the showers close at 8. The catered dinner stopped serving at 8. So if you're rolling into camp at 7 o'clock or 7:30, you got a pretty limited time to accomplish those things. So it's probably ideal. We try to roll into town between 4 and 5. It gives us plenty of time to get a shower, get dinner, relax, not be stressed about it. So just keep that in mind as you're planning your day. If you do happen to roll in late, there are almost always vendors at camp in the evenings that are not the vendor that's doing the catered dinner that stays open later than 8. And so there are options. You could always take a shower and then go into town and get food, whatever. So, but
stop
you gotta.
at Casey's on the way to camp.
Yeah, but you gotta remember the showers close at 8 and dinner stops at 8. So keep that in mind.
Speaking of vendors, the vendors that come into camp for breakfast and dinner, try to support them as much as you can. They take a chance on PBV. They could have set up in town where they have all of RAGBRAI to service, but they choose to be with Pork Belly Ventures and let's make it worth their while. You know, try and support those breakfast vendors and the dinner vendors as much as you can.
Oftentimes they're nonprofits as well. And
Right.
so they really do deserve some support. They're churches, they're scout groups, they're good causes and deserve some support.
Okay, when you get to camp and you're trying to find out where dinner's going to be, or you're trying to find out where the massage tables are,
Or the showers.
or the showers,
Or Tent City.
or Tent City. Oftentimes you'll go to the front desk and stand in line and ask your questions. However, there is a cheat sheet on board.
It's called the Campground Orientation Board, the COB.
Or the COB.
The COB.
Check out the COB.
It's near the front desk.
It's near the front desk.
Take a picture with your phone so you have it for reference.
Yeah, and then you'll know where everything is.
Okay, this is how we help our riders orient themselves to camp every day. So we called the COB, the Campground Orientation Board. Something we came up with a few years ago. We realized people were standing in line for 20 minutes to ask us 20 questions when they could just come in under the shady canopy, look at a board, take a picture of it, and know pretty much where things are in camp. And it's really hard because every day you're orienting yourself to a new spot, everything's in a different location, and you feel a little disoriented when you're coming off the road, especially in this kind of heat.
Right.
So in that case, people would just come in, get a cold drink, sit down for a few minutes, and then come over and figure out where they are. And usually the things that they want to know is, where's that pretty colored shower trailer? Where are my bags? Where's the baggage trailer, which we call the stupidity trailer? And then, you know, where are my tents? And where can I set up my tent? And so I really don't have my head around yet how far this goes.
It gets updated as they set up camp, so if you're an early bird, it might not be fully organized yet, but as they set things up, they'll make sure the COB is up to date.
One of the other cool camp services or services that's provided at camp is a bike mechanic. There's a bike mechanic that's open in the evenings and I don't know what time they open in the afternoon, but
Check the COB for their hours.
Yeah, check the COB for their hours. There's also a full bike shop where you can, if you need a pair of gloves or some accessory, it's right there at camp. The bike mechanic is open in the morning as well. In fact, one year I woke up, had a flat tire. I didn't feel like changing it myself. Took it over to the bike mechanic, and he got it fixed quite quickly. So just keep in mind there is a bike mechanic at camp.
If you think there's a chance that you're going to have a massage in camp, maybe you've already registered for one, signed up for one. Try to remember to throw a towel or
a twin sheet, small sheet,
in your duffel bag and bring that with you to the massage to
Yeah,
lay on the table.
Yeah.
I'd like to spend some time here talking about camp etiquette, just real briefly. Pork Belly Adventures institutes a 10 o'clock quiet hour at 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. I've noticed when my tent happens to be near the kaibos, people go into the kaibo, and when they come out, boom, the door slams. And if your tent is near that kaibo, it's kind of irritating, especially if you're trying to fall asleep.
All night long.
All night
Slam.
long. Boom.
Slam.
Just, think about what that sounds like if there's people sleeping nearby, and just gently hold the door with your hand and let it close without making noise.
Let it close.
Yeah, just
Let it close.
let it close without making a noise. It's just something to think about. It's just a consideration.
It's also a good reason to maybe throw in a pair of earplugs in case
Oh,
you
right.
get next to the kaibo or you got a loud snoring guy
And
or whatever.
nobody's watched this hot tip about not letting the kaibo door slam.
Yeah.
Yeah, earplugs is actually a good idea.
Just be nice.
Oh,
You know?
remember where your tent is when you get up
Oh,
and
yeah.
go to the kaibo in the middle of the night. Make sure you will be able to recognize your tent when you come back, because they all look alike.
Oh, they're all exactly the same.
So try to
And-
develop some sort of landmark.
Yeah. And, you don't want to do a couple of things. You don't want to be shining your flashlight at everybody's tent trying to find that, because the tents are all tagged with a tent number on it. So you don't want to be looking for tent, 216, because you're going to be lighting up everybody's tent while they're trying to sleep. And God forbid, you do not want to unzip and try to enter someone else's tent. That could end in several different ways.
Right. Yeah.
Some better than others.
So some people will bring the glow-in-the-dark necklaces and hang that on their outside of their net or tent or whatever. Some people try to distinguish their tent from others. We've never had to do that.
You can also recognize, you park your bike next to your tent, so you can also use recognizing your own bicycle. This is my tent. If you remember what side of the tent you parked your bike on. But,
right.
Just
be aware that if you rented a tent and you get up in the middle of the night to go to the Kaibo, make sure you know where you're going back to.
Just be polite. There's a lot of lines at RAGBRAI. There's lines for the Kaibo, whether in camp or not. There's lines for dinner. There's lines for the showers. Just talk to your neighbors. Just have a good time. Don't get upset about little things. Just enjoy yourself. That's what this whole week's about.
Yeah.
I think
we're all there for the same reason, and we all have different backstories. It's fun to visit with the neighbor in line.
If you just use good manners and you're respectful of others, it's gonna be a better time for everybody. Our experience at Pork Belly Camp has been nothing but stellar. We really had no issue with anybody, but. All right, so then you go to bed at some point. We're old, so we go to bed pretty early. We're usually, sometimes in bed as early as like 9 o'clock.
Before the sun goes down.
Next morning,
fast.
we're up at 5:30. We set the alarm for 5:30. We're up. The first thing we both do is go to the Kaibo, go to the bathroom. Then I go fetch coffee and pick stuff up from the charging thingy. And Mary Beth goes to the tent and deflates the air mattress, packs all the stuff up, gets the bags ready. We got that system down pretty well. So then, we like to be out of the tent as early as possible, but you have to be out by 7. Your bags in the tent, or if you're a self-tenter, your bags to the bag truck by 7 a.m. And again, if you haven't watched our pork belly process videos, and even if you're not new to pork belly and you haven't watched them, you should go back and watch them. It's enlightening what it takes to pull this off, and I think it'll give you some idea of how you can be a better camper.
Also, make sure your bags are pulled to the front of the door if you're renting a tent. Just pull them to the door.
So you don't have to go inside your tent.
And leave the door open unless it's raining.
So you're out of the tent, you got your bags, you're done, you're on the road. On your way out of camp, there's a water fill station for your bottles. There's air pumps. There's an area where you can get your bike. You can air up your tires. There's usually a vendor. Sometimes it's a church. It's nice to support them that are providing some
breakfast
type items for donation or pay. But so you can do that, or you can hit a Bloody Mary and breakfast burrito on the route somewhere. But you just get started on the day. And don't forget your sunscreen. All right, this final segment of this episode, we want to talk about what to expect at the end. You've ridden all 7 days, you've had a great time, you've met new friends, you've been inspired to be a better human, you've reignited your faith in the world.
One thing that caught me by surprise, my first RAGBRAI, and every RAGBRAI subsequent except for the Apollo mission, was the melancholiness, the sense of, not wanting it to come to an end.
Yeah. The last day can be tough, particularly the closer you get to the end town, where you sort of realize that it's over. And let me tell you, you think, oh my God, I'm going to be so tired, 7 days on my bike. No, you're just shocked at how fast it went by. You're like, what? It's day 7 already?
Yeah.
We just got started.
And it's just sad that it's over. Thankfully, we no longer have to go back to work the next Monday, and
retire.
This year we're continuing on to see my family in Madison. So this year it won't be so bad for me, but the Apollo mission was excellent because we just
kept going.
We just kept going.
It's the last day, and you're getting close to the end town. Tears are rolling down your face because it's over. But what do? Well, if you're a tire dipper and you want to complete the tire dip, you did it at the beginning and you want to do it at the end,
head to the Mississippi River.
Got to go find the tire dip site. It's usually not hard to find unless you're the first person to finish RAGBRAI. But usually by the time you get there, there's a line. There's people there. It's a very busy area, so it's typically not hard. And oftentimes there are signs that point you to the tire dip area. So go dip your tire. If you're not in a hurry, there's usually a RAGBRAI area where sometimes there's a band, whatever. But there's bars. There's lots of activity that you can do in the in-town if you're not in a hurry. If you're a pork belly person, probably what you want to do is go find your car, wherever you parked it.
Load your bikes.
Load your bikes in the car and then drive to the pork belly area, which will be communicated through their app. There'll be signs. But when you get to the pork belly area, all the bags are laid out. You go find your bags, you load them in the car. When you do find the pork belly area at the in-town, the showers close at 2 o'clock. So keep that in mind, because that's when
the time their bus leaves.
Yeah, that's when the last shuttle that goes back the other way leaves. They open as early as they possibly can, but they do close at 2 o'clock. So keep that in mind as you're planning your end day and you're at the bar having one last beer before you have to call it done. Some people are on a schedule. They got to get to a flight. They got to get to whatever. So, you got to manage your time there. But yeah, you go pick up your bags and you head out of town. If you're taking a bus back to the start town because you parked your car at start town, you got to plan to exit the timing of that too. Those buses have certain times that they leave and you don't want to miss it. So you got to plan your day, last day, appropriate for what you have to accomplish when you get to the end town. One final thought for pork belly folks, for pork belly customers. There are sources of information. They have a Facebook page. They're actually pretty active, putting short videos and that sort of thing out there, providing information. The June letter is a critical source of information. Read it carefully, read it completely. It's coming, but it's very comprehensive. And then their website, right? Oh, the app.
They have an app, Pork Belly app.
Yeah, if you're a pork belly customer, download the app. It's got tons of information. So those are good sources. And then if you have special needs, if you have a CPAP machine or you have
dietary restrictions,
or you got medication that has to be refrigerated. If you have special needs, they're not going to be covered probably by those things. Just reach out to them, contact them. They are more than accommodating to meet your needs. So don't think that just because you got some special need, you're not going to be able to get those needs met.
The Pork Belly app. Before you get to Iowa, the route and the route maps will be updated to the Pork Belly app, and this by routes I mean specifically how to get to camp at the end of the day. Make sure you download those because the cell service is not always very reliable in Iowa during RAGBRAI. So download those apps that are posted on the Pork Belly app prior to arriving to the start time. Thanks for watching. We hope this was helpful.
Yeah. If it was, Pat, share it with your RAGBRAI friends that are doing it. If you know any newbies, this is probably more helpful for them than veterans. But
if you have questions that we didn't answer, please put it in the comments. We'll do our best. If we don't know the answer, we'll try and find it.
But congratulations on
making the decision.
Making the decision to do RAGBRAI. And if you chose Pork Belly Adventures as your charter, that was a good choice. You're going to be very happy about that choice. But enjoy yourself and find us. We want to meet you. We will stay on our Instagram, buses, bikes, beers. We will do our best to communicate where we'll be, certainly the meetups. We will try to, if there's cell service, we will try to communicate when we're going to be at certain beer stops, at the Iowa Beer Bus or one of the Iowa Beer Craft tents things. Look for us, look for the little doggy. Absolutely come say hi, buy us a couple of beers, get a buff. Yeah. Okay.
Enjoy the ride.
Wear a helmet.